Welcome to part 2 of this 5-part video series on curiosity, the one attitude that expats need in order to thrive and succeed in their intercultural life.
Today we'll be talking about 2 things you can do to succeed as a curious person. First, open your mind. Do you ever catch yourself thinking, I don't get culture shock, or we're all the same anyway, or I think I've adjusted very well. I experience very little stress. Not good. We think you're missing stuff. Why do I say that? Because if you're in another culture but not noticing it, it means your mind is somehow closed to what's different. I'm not suggesting you're deliberately closing your mind, but there can be all kinds of reasons why you don't notice the differences. Curiosity will grow when you open your mind to what's different and are proactive in looking for things that are different in your world. Let them shock you. Let them challenge you. Keep asking questions and let those questions spawn new questions.
Yeah, exactly. Which leads us to our second tip today, practice humility. You know, the way you were brought up is not necessarily the best way to think and live. A classic and obvious example of this is the difference between an individualistic and a collectivist group culture. If you're from the West, you've learned that the individual is the most important part of society. It's up to you to make it. It's your fault when you fail, and you should be able to thrive in life with very little help from anyone else. On the other hand, the cultures of Africa, Asia, and South America are much more group-oriented. The individual sacrifices himself for the group, and the individual only succeeds if the group succeeds.
So we can see how easy it would be for someone from the West to struggle with humility in a group-oriented culture, or vice versa. A Chinese student in the USA may really be appalled and even disgusted by the rugged individualism. The practice of humility across cultural lines doesn't mean that you think ill of your own culture and background. It just means you approach everyone and every culture with an eye toward learning and seeing the value that's there. And then we may change some of our approaches to what we know and our own background and incorporate some new ones.
So now we've talked about 3 things you can do to become a more curious person. Rethink your assumptions and value judgments, open your mind, and practice humility. If you're finding these thoughts helpful, please click on the button below and share the sign-up page with other expats you know. They'll benefit from it too. Meanwhile, we'll see you again in a couple days. Be well and be curious.